So my name is Tom, and I'll be discussing artificial intelligence today. So, what is artificial intelligence? Well, John McCarthy said, every aspect of learning or any other feature of intelligence can, in principle, be so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it. An attempt will be made to find out how to make machines use languages, form abstractions and concepts, solve kinds of problems now reserved for humans, and finally improve themselves. In layman's term, you can just say an AI is a machine that solves problems without human mind. The machine will show intelligence once it improves itself from solving types of problems. So here are the original aspects of an AI. Simulating higher functions of the human brain, programming a computer to use general languages, hypothetical neurons in a manner so that they can form concepts, a way to determine and measure problem complexity, self-improvement, abstraction, defined as the quality of dealing with ideas rather than events, and finally randomness and creativity. Now, these aspects doesn't fully describe an AI, meaning not all these aspects has to be in an AI to be described as an AI. For instance, the most common AI form is, well, everyone knows, is video games. And AI in video games aren't very self-improving, saying like if you're playing a first-person shooter, they don't act when you do this certain move. Well, you do, but they don't. If you replay the game or if you restart the mission, they won't go to that certain place where you went the first time. They don't self-improve, and we'll talk about that a little more in the next few slides. So some of these aspects are somewhat outdated and don't very describe the current AI that we have now. Some do, but some don't. So if you still have a hard time understanding what an AI are, you actually use AIs every day. And here are some of the examples. So virtual personal assistant. What that means is it's basically like Siri or Cortana, right? So you ask Siri a question saying, hey, what's the nearest GameStop location? And then Siri will go online using your data or the internet to find the nearest GameStop near you through the GPS system. Same thing goes with Cortana. You can ask her any type of question, and fortunately she uses Bing search engine to find that. So there's that. And we already talked about video games being the most known AI there is. So an AI in video games could be something like your computer opponent, right? Or something like your friendly bot or your friendly person that isn't controlled by another player. Next is fraud detection. Now this one's a little harder to explain. Well, it's not hard to explain, but not everyone understands what this means. So fraud detection basically means it was programmed and it had certain type of training that knows where a fraud purchase is made or when it was made. But it also self-improves through understanding what that customer purchases oftenly, or when it's a weird purchase, like maybe somebody, a businessman that makes 2K, like 20K a year, goes out and buy a $5,000 boat, right? That will be an offset, and the customer might say, hey, I didn't buy that, and so the fraud detection says, oh, you didn't. So, and then the fraud detection would actually take that in as information. They'll decline it or ask you again the next time you make a big purchases like that. Same thing if the customer buys something frequently, maybe like toilet paper, like 50,000 pounds of toilet paper. They're like, what? And no, they just buy it frequently, and so yeah, it's not fraud to the detection. Next is music and movie recommendation services. Now this goes along the lines of Pandora, Google Play, the music, and Spotify, which I personally use. What this is basically there's an AI that understands what type of genre of music you listen to, and it records it, and it would make its own playlist saying, hey, you listen to R&B a couple of hours a day, and it'll make a compilation of R&B in another playlist and say, hey, do you want to listen to this? And so Pandora does the exact same thing, except you pick a radio station and they say, oh, it's an R&B radio station, and so they start giving you more recommendations that pertain to R&B. Next, we will be talking about some brief AI history. So, artificial intelligence can actually be dated as far back as ancient Greece, where Talos, a Greek mythology, was a giant automaton made of bronze to protect Europa and Crete from pirates and invaders. However, not until 1956, a conference at Dartmouth College, was the term artificial intelligence was actually finally coined by John McCarthy. Now, John McCarthy was the guy that we talked about before, or I'll show you the quote again, where he gave you the definition. So this guy actually coined the term artificial intelligence, which is pretty cool. So the conference at Dartmouth was organized by Marvin Minsky, John McCarthy again, and two other senior scientists, Claudie Shannon and Nathan Rochster. The conference was solely dedicated for the discussion of artificial intelligence and ended with AI finally formally founded. In that same year, the first running AI program, the Logic Theorist, was written by Alan Newell, J.C. Shaw, and Herbert Simon, was deliberately engineered to mimic the problem-solving skills of a human. So on that same year, they actually made a somewhat rudimentary AI system where it understood and mimicked the human skills, problem-solving skills, which is that's completely amazing, because once they actually got a shoot off, got it founded, they just ran right into it, which I found completely admirable. So in 1962, the first game was actually programmed. It was programmed by Arthur Samuel. He wrote the first game playing program, and guess it was checkers. To achieve sufficient skill to challenge the world championship. So this guy made a checkers game to challenge checker players to, enhance their skills. And his machine was actually responsible for high performance of checker players, which is pretty cool. And then skipping 40 years, in the early 2000s, robotic toys were becoming commercially available. The example of these were Robo Sapien, Aibo, and even Roomba. The thing that goes around your house it's like a vacuum. All these were actually artificial intelligence, which is, it's a little rudimentary, but it's really cool that it did that. So next we're gonna go a little more in detail about AI. So there are two types of AI. There's strong AI, and there's, of course, if there's a strong, and there's gonna be a weak, right? Sorry. Anyways, so the strong AI, in terms, is used to describe a certain mindset of artificial intelligence development. So a little more detail on that. So the strong AI's goal is to develop artificial intelligence to the point where the machine's intellectual capacity is functionally equal to humans. So what that means is we humans are special, right? We have certain brains where we think cognitively. So we make the AI. So the AI would think about us. So basically, we're just creating another person without the biological things and stuff like that, which is crazy. So the ideal strong AI machine would be built in form of a man, or man as in humans. They would have the same sensory perception as a human and go through the same education and learning process as a human child. So yeah, like I said before, it's basically you're creating a person without all the science. More computer science, but still, you know what I mean. Sadly, we do not have the technology and the dedication to program a strong AI, which I do believe in the future that we will, though, because I'll talk about that later. I want to show you a really cool video after. So, of course, weak AI. AI that is and will always be simulation of a human cognitive function. So basically what that is it's just code and algorithms, right? So a weak AI simply acts upon its bound by rules imposed by the human. And the AI can't go beyond those bounds, unfortunately. I find this quite sad when you think about it, right? So, although the AI don't have any feelings, and they do have a lot of knowledge, but that knowledge only comes from the human that programs it. And the only way it can improve itself is when an outside source is actually controlling them, and that's quite depressing. Sorry.
So what's going to happen now?
Well, one of them is going to speak, and then he's going to ask the other one to do an action. He is going to invent a word, because he doesn't have yet a word to name that action.
Right.
Okay, so then he says the word, and this one isn't sure what it could mean, right? This is a brand new word. So then he will make a guess, and if the guess is okay, totally by luck.
Right.
Well, they both know this word, and they know for the future they can use this word to communicate with each other.
What if it gets it wrong then?
Well, if it gets it wrong, then this one will say that this is not what I had in mind.
Right.
And he will show it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know which one is going to speak first. Okay, so he's speaking first. He's doing the action.
That's fantastic. No.
Okay, you notice how he looked? Now,
okay, so now he's recording
getting the real action.
All right.
Okay. So now there's another interaction going to happen. Again, I don't know which one is going to speak. Okay.
Alright, so in that video, it demonstrates how technologically far we are with AI. And it's completely amazing. The right robot says in their